how system integrators are accelerating enterprise AI adoption and turning pilots into scalable business value. Hello and welcome. Today we are diving into one of the most important forces shaping enterprise AI right now, and that is the role of system integrators. For years, many organizations understood that artificial intelligence could improve productivity, decision-making, automation, and customer experience. But knowing AI matters and actually deploying it at enterprise scale are two very different things. Across industries, companies have been stuck between ambition and execution. They have run pilots that never reached production. They have bought tools that employees did not trust. They have discovered that data lives in too many systems, governance is too weak, and business teams are not aligned with technology teams. This is exactly where system integrators have stepped in. They are becoming the bridge between strategy and execution, between experimentation and transformation, and between isolated use cases and enterprise-wide operating models. To understand why system integrators matter so much now, we need to look at the reality of enterprise AI adoption. Most large enterprises are not starting from a clean slate. They are dealing with decades of legacy systems, fragmented data architectures, multiple cloud environments, security requirements, regulatory obligations, procurement constraints, and a workforce with mixed digital maturity. AI does not succeed in that environment just because a model is powerful. It succeeds when workflows, data pipelines, governance, change management, and business processes all move together. That is why enterprise buyers increasingly need partners who understand not only AI models, but also enterprise architecture, integration patterns, cybersecurity, operating models, compliance, and industry-specific transformation. System integrators occupy a unique position in this market. They are not just software vendors selling a product, and they are not just consultants writing strategy decks. The most effective system integrators combine advisory services, technical implementation, process redesign, managed services, and ecosystem orchestration. In practice, that means they can help an organization assess AI readiness, identify high-value use cases, modernize data foundations, integrate models into enterprise applications, design responsible AI controls, retrain teams, and manage long-term operations. In many cases, they also serve as the connective layer between hyperscalers, enterprise application providers, model companies, data platforms, and the client's own internal teams. This role is becoming more visible because enterprises have learned a hard lesson. AI value does not come from a demo. It comes from deployment into real work. A generative AI assistant that summarizes documents is interesting, but unless it is integrated into the company's document systems, security stack, permission structure, compliance policies, and business process rules, it remains a novelty. A predictive model for supply chain optimization sounds compelling, but unless it is fed reliable operational data and embedded into planning workflows, it does not change decisions. A customer service bot may look impressive, but without CRM integration, escalation paths, governance, and continuous monitoring, it may create more risk than value. System integrators have become essential because they know how to connect all of those moving parts. Another reason they are accelerating AI adoption is that the market itself has become more complex. Enterprises now face a crowded landscape of foundation models, open source models, vector databases, orchestration frameworks, agent platforms, MLOps tools, observability platforms, security controls, and AI governance frameworks. Senior leaders do not just need help choosing tools, they need help deciding how to assemble a sustainable architecture that avoids lock-in where possible, meets cost and performance goals, and remains governable as regulations evolve. System integrators help clients navigate these trade-offs by translating the fast-moving AI vendor landscape into enterprise architecture decisions. But the real story is not only technical, it is organizational. One of the biggest barriers to AI adoption is not whether the model works, it is whether the organization is ready to absorb change. Successful AI deployment requires executive sponsorship, clear ownership, data stewardship, legal review, risk governance, workforce enablement, and business process redesign. In healthcare, public sector, and other regulated environments, leaders are emphasizing AI literacy, governance, interoperability, and human-centered transformation as prerequisites for scalable value, not optional extras. That broader pattern matters far beyond healthcare. It shows that institutions are increasingly recognizing that AI adoption is a transformation challenge, not just a software rollout. System integrators often become the coordinating force that keeps those work streams aligned. This is especially important in enterprises that have already accumulated technical debt. Many organizations want AI, but their data is trapped in ERP systems, CRM platforms, custom applications, departmental databases, document repositories, and partner ecosystems. In some cases, data quality is poor. In others, access rights are unclear. In still others, there is no shared semantic layer that makes enterprise data computable and reusable. System integrators accelerate adoption by helping organizations build the connective tissue. They establish data integration pipelines, API strategies, event-driven architectures, metadata controls, master data approaches, and governance frameworks that allow AI to operate on trusted inputs rather than fragmented information. Once that foundation is in place, system integrators help prioritize use cases that can produce measurable value. This is one of their most important contributions. Many enterprises begin with the wrong question. They ask what AI can do. A more useful question is where AI can solve an expensive, repetitive, delay-prone, risk-heavy, or insight-limited business problem. The strongest integrators help clients rank use cases by feasibility, business value, implementation complexity, data readiness, regulatory exposure, and change impact. That reduces the common trap of chasing flashy demonstrations while ignoring operational bottlenecks that could produce near-term returns. In practice, the early wins often come from a few predictable domains. In customer operations, AI can improve agent productivity, summarize interactions, recommend next best actions, and speed issue resolution. In software engineering, it can accelerate code generation, testing, modernization, and documentation. In finance and procurement, it can support document processing, anomaly detection, forecasting, and contract intelligence. In operations and supply chains, it can improve planning, maintenance, quality control, and scenario modeling. In knowledge-heavy sectors, it can enhance search, summarization, and decision support. System integrators do not just identify these opportunities, they map them into real enterprise workflows and define what must change to deliver value safely. Governance is another area where system integrators are becoming central. As AI spreads across the enterprise, questions multiply. Which use cases are allowed? Which models are approved? What data can be used for prompting or fine-tuning? How are outputs evaluated? How are hallucinations mitigated? Who is accountable if an AI recommendation causes harm? How is model drift monitored? How are legal, ethical, and compliance risks reviewed? Enterprises need consistent answers because fragmented governance slows adoption and increases risk. Integrators help build governance structures that are both rigorous and usable. That includes model registries, approval workflows, risk classifications, policy controls, audit trails, red teaming, monitoring, and human oversight processes. The most advanced system integrators are also helping clients build what might be called an AI operating model. That means moving beyond isolated projects to define how the enterprise repeatedly discovers, designs, deploys, governs, and scales AI solutions. An AI operating model usually covers portfolio prioritization, funding mechanisms, architecture standards, reusable components, vendor management, talent models, performance measurement, and lifecycle management. Without this, enterprises often create AI silos. Every business unit chooses its own tools, negotiates its own contracts, and develops its own practices. That fragmentation raises cost, weakens controls, and slows learning. System integrators can reduce that fragmentation by establishing shared standards and reusable foundations. One reason clients value system integrators is speed. Building all of this capability internally takes time. It requires scarce talent across cloud engineering, data engineering, model operations, cybersecurity, compliance, UX, enterprise architecture, and change management. Many enterprises do not have enough of those skills in-house, especially when AI demand is increasing faster than workforce development. Integrators bring cross-functional teams that have seen similar patterns across multiple clients and industries. That means they can often accelerate implementation by reusing reference architectures, industry templates, governance blueprints, migration patterns, and pre-built connectors. Their cross-industry view also matters. System integrators observe what is working across banking, manufacturing, retail, telecom, healthcare, government, and energy. They see which use cases are moving from pilot to production, which governance models are surviving audit and legal review, which vendor combinations are proving durable, and which organizational approaches are reducing resistance. That market pattern recognition becomes a strategic asset for clients. It can prevent expensive mistakes and shorten the path from exploration to execution. Another major contribution is modernization. In many enterprises, AI becomes the forcing function that finally justifies long postponed transformation. A company may have tolerated fragmented data and aging workflows for years, but when it decides to deploy AI at scale, those weaknesses become visible and costly. System integrators use AI programs to support broader modernization of data platforms, API layers, workflow automation, identity and access models, cloud migration, and security architecture. In that sense, AI adoption is not only about introducing something new, it is also about repairing what has held the enterprise back. This is where the phrase accelerate enterprise AI adoption becomes very concrete. System integrators accelerate adoption in at least 5 ways. First, they reduce uncertainty by helping leaders define where AI should create value. Second, they reduce technical friction by integrating AI into real enterprise environments. Third, they reduce organizational resistance by leading change management and workforce enablement. Fourth, they reduce risk by implementing governance and compliance frameworks. And fifth, they reduce time to scale by providing reusable delivery models and managed services. Each of these contributions matters on its own, but together they create the momentum that many enterprises cannot generate alone. It is also worth noting that enterprise AI is increasingly tied to interoperability and open integration patterns. Across digital transformation efforts, organizations are recognizing that data liquidity and standards-based architectures are essential to reduce administrative burden, connect workflows, and enable scalable innovation. While those examples appear prominently in health and public sector contexts, the broader lesson applies across enterprise sectors. AI performs better when data can move securely and meaningfully between systems. System integrators are often the ones designing those bridges, which makes them fundamental to both AI adoption and enterprise transformation more broadly. Yet there are real trade-offs. Relying heavily on a system integrator can create dependency if the client does not build its own internal capabilities. Some AI programs become over-customized, expensive, or difficult to maintain. Others become too tied to a specific vendor ecosystem. There is also the risk that a large integrator brings a generic framework that does not fully match the client's operating reality. That is why the best client organizations treat system integrators not as permanent substitutes for internal capability, but as accelerators and capability partners. The goal should be to combine outside execution strength with internal ownership, governance, and domain knowledge. The strongest partnerships tend to share a few traits. The enterprise has clear business sponsorship. The integrator understands the industry context, not just the technology. Success metrics are tied to measurable outcomes, not vague innovation language. Governance is built in from the start, not added later. Workforce enablement is treated as part of deployment, and both sides are honest about what needs to be standardized versus customized. When these conditions are present, system integrators can help organizations move from pilot fatigue to scaled execution. Looking ahead, the role of system integrators may become even more important as AI systems become more agentic, multimodal, and embedded into end-to-end workflows. Enterprises will need to orchestrate not just one model or one chatbot, but interconnected systems that reason across applications, data stores, and operational processes. That raises the bar for observability, governance, cybersecurity, access control, architecture discipline, and resilience. It also increases the need for deep integration across business and technology layers. In that environment, the winners will not simply be the enterprises with the most advanced models. They will be the ones that can operationalize AI across the full complexity of the organization, and system integrators are likely to remain a critical part of that journey. So the big takeaway is this: system integrators are accelerating enterprise AI adoption because they solve the hardest part of the problem. They turn AI from a promising capability into an operational reality. They connect strategy to systems, governance to deployment, and innovation to business value. In a market filled with excitement, they are often the ones doing the difficult work of integration, modernization, change management, and scale. Enterprise AI will not be won by technology alone. It will be won by execution. And increasingly, system integrators are becoming the execution engine that helps large organizations cross that gap. Thank you for watching.